Instead of giving a Musar shmooze, which is always a possibility, but not necessarily always as effective as one might think, I wanted to go over some of the Kabbolos, which these were accepted upon themselves for Yamina Roim, and perhaps we can be inspired to pick some of them ourselves. And this is taken from a sefer called Kisvei Saba Mikelm, Pinchas HaKabbolos, out from Kelm, of course, the main Tamei Rabbi Sosalanter. And this is not just his Kabbolos, but Kabbolos of primarily his and of other people great people throughout the generations. So this is a list of Kabbolos from Yom Kippur, from Tafresh Mem Aleph, which is 1881. Aleph, Limod Musar, and this is just to give ideas for things one can set for oneself for the coming year. Limod Musar b'chol yom b'li neder al hemshech hakabbalah. To learn Musar every day, but not stam Musar. Musar about things which have to do with my Kabbolos. What is Kabbolos? So, base. Lishtal she'at tefillah derech hamusar. It's a fascinating idea. That when you daven, there are many ways to daven kavanah. One way to daven kavanah is to daven highly emotionally. Another way to daven kavanah is to daven with a greater understanding of the words. But he's saying a third way to daven with kavanah is to learn musar from what you're davening, to see what you're saying and how that can impact upon you as a person, right? If you're saying things like he says you should think. Certain-based davening says also about v'havterecha mocha, and he gives an example. He says shir chadash shibchu gulim shibchas fasiyam yachad kum haduvin dichu v'amru. Think there about v'havterecha kamocha. Think what it means that yachad kulam haduvin dichu v'amru. That when you think about poseches yodecha must be l'chol chayir tzon. Think about your own personal bitocha. Think to learn to daven derech hamusar means to think these thoughts in which a person can derive things to davening, and that's particularly true about Yom Roim. When you come to davening on Yom Roim, learn the davening like a Musar sefer. Likva magimel, likva mamar echad she'eraga b'fiv. There you should see. I spoke today about shudas, about kiyonu mami rechav anu mami reinu. That a person there, and I suppose mentioned that there are ma'amorim, which a person says, which reflect one's chunas and nefesh, one's character, one's personality, what's significant to a person. So this can be done deliberately. You can choose a mimer which you always have in mind. Elsewhere in the Kabbalah he says you should have a mimer in your pocket. Maybe you should have one on your cell phone, right? Which is significant. He gives you gives ideas. One of them ideas he gives is the pasuk in Micha. It's a bit longer, but I'm going to start from the end of the pasuk, which is, or the series of psukim. To remind myself all the time that this is what Hashem wants me to do. This is what I'm here for. Mishpat, Chesed, and Hatznei Aleches. So it's to have this mimer, which you are accustomed to say, and therefore has an impact upon you. He says, Lachshov b'netzach, to think about eternity. And he says, Lizboin derech hayodua. He says there's a certain way to accomplish this, not for now, there's not the time for it, but to think about eternity. In other words, everything I do, not just for the moment, everything I do has an impact on eternity. Anything, the small thing we do, we know it comes to cheshbon in Shamayim, and it can have an impact, especially when I interact with other people. So to think, when I'm about to do something, that it's not just at the moment, it's something which has to do with netzach. And he says, he says, the best place to do that is during davening. You should do it all the time. But to speak, obviously, something which is difficult to do 24/7, but at least think, what is my eternity? What is my place in eternity during davening? He says that, he's kashrus hayira v'amidos b'tali machshava, that your yiras Hashem should be connected to your midos, requires thought. Ki ma'aseh adam v'hochim achrei ha'machshava shebelev. What a person does follows his thoughts in his heart. Akein davar gadol yachid chol pachas shtepon yishua ezeman lisragel sheyaseh machshava roshem b'kirbo. Therefore, you should accustom yourself to some time, perhaps twice a week, to think that your thoughts should make an impact on you. This is something which in our generation is very difficult to do because we're all ADD. It's very hard for us to focus on anything for any amount of time, and therefore our machshavas, things we think, even good thoughts, don't have an impact on who we are. So he says, try at least a couple of times a week to think a thought which actually impacts upon you. It's not just superficial, not doesn't just go in one side out the other side, but actually has an impact on you. It makes you think and makes you say, you know what, maybe I'll be different. And he says a good thing to do is that to think to you should write down your Kabbolos, and you should have them read them at least once a week in order to remember. And that's a good thing because not only it happens after Yom Kippur, you barely remember your Kabbolos. Whatever resolutions you have, they quickly fly out immediately after Yom Kippur is over. It was I once heard a statement that it's true. It's very hard to avoid this. That Motzei Yom Kippur, every bacher in yeshiva is thinking, as during Nila, I have to make sure not to forget my towel when I go home tonight. There was everybody saying, what am I going to pack? And it's a natural thing. It's not. That's how people think. So therefore, it's very difficult to think about the netzach when I'm thinking about the towel, and B, to actually think about how I'm going to make sure to think about my Kabbalos when the thing I'm worried about is where I'm going to get a ride tonight. I wanted to share just a few more. This is from Reb Tzvi Broida. It's a relative, I think it was the son of Reb Simcha Zissel. He says, Lasim ayin, daber emes, lasos inyono b'li sheker. Never to be false. And even you could diminish falsehood. There's a Baal Musa speaking. He says, let's get real. None of us are completely true all the time. But just try to diminish the amount of falsehood, things which are false, which are involved in. Hamatu Rav Mode. He says, two, Ava Sabrios. Lasos Memasa Chesed Imam Yishurim. So you're involved in Chesed with Am Yisrael. We have Ram Yitzchak Yaakov. Va'ikr Manim Cholim. This is something which, unfortunately, nowadays is very, very vital. I said in class, in schools, but girls, they do chesed programs in schools. Boys, we don't educate them to do chesed. It's not on the radar. We figure they learn Gemara, they'll be fine. They don't have to do chesed. But he says here that to do things with people who are sick, and sickness includes people who are depressed. To do this all with a pleasant countenance and with soft words. Just want to do a couple more. He has more, perhaps in the course of the next couple of weeks to go through these things. But Motzei Shabbos Kodesh, Lachshov al ha'avar u'makam ha'shever l'sader l'haba. Motzei Shabbos Kodesh. Now that the pool party is over for the season, it's a good time to think about this. That think about where I messed up last week, and to plan what I'm going to do next week. So make a cheshbon once a week. Where did I mess up? Knowing us, we probably messed up a gazillion times. But to think of one thing I messed up last week, with next week I'm going to do better. And finally, for now, kol ma shetaseh tisamek tisponen lamik. Anything you do, try and do it deeper. This comes back to what we said before, machshava sheyesh bo roshem. Your thoughts should make an impact upon you. So this is also part of that. That anytime you're involved, anytime you do something, if you could do it deeper, think about how this can be more meaningful, more significant. Then that's something which is a tremendous Kabbalah, which enables you to lead qualitatively a much better, more whole, not just wholly, more dedicated, more devoted life, which will take you through Mir Hashem to Netzach. And Mir Hashem, as I said, next couple of weeks we'll go through perhaps a few more of the Kabbalahs. In Slichos tonight, it's a good time to start thinking what types of resolutions, they go together. What type of resolutions are, for me, special, unique, important for me to undertake for the coming year? We shall be Zechet to Ksiva Chasima Tova.